Well, the problem with the Epstein and all the files that were promised right from the get-go when Donald Trump became president of the United States, one of his promises was that he was going to release not only the Epstein files, but also the MLK and the RFK and all the other files that have been buried for a very long time. But to this day, it has not happened. And this is causing a lot of people to become really very upset with the Trump administration, as the excuses that are being made now are really just pathetic, to not to lack another say it another way. And for a lot of us, if they would just come out and be honest, I don't even care what is going on. If they just came out and they just said, the files are destroyed. The last administration, they're gone. We're investigating. Okay, that would be one thing. But when they go and they instead just continue to dodge these questions and hope that it goes away, unfortunately, when that does, that causes more people to then become more suspicious of what are they hiding. Out of the most ridiculous I've heard of people talking about of Donald Trump hiding is somehow Donald Trump is part of the Epstein file or is part of the Epstein client list. This is absolutely nonsense, in my opinion. And I think there's three possibilities for why. But this is the most ridiculous, I believe. And this is for the reasons. If they had, Donald Trump on the Epstein files, that means Chris Wray had him too. And when Chris Wray had him, and that means that Merrick Garland had them, and so did Joe Biden. Right? So the administration that spent all those resources trying to put Trump away in prison, they would not have wasted him on these boxes hoaxes and on these made up felonies and on Carroll and all the other hoaxes that they ran if they had legitimate ways to put Donald Trump in prison. I don't personally know Donald Trump, but he's never really struck me as that kind of person. But if he was, they would have locked him up in a split second. He would be in prison. Does anyone doubt for a single moment that Joe Biden would have locked Donald Trump up? Exactly. The other way, I think, is what we hinted at earlier, is that the files just simply don't exist anymore. And for whatever reason, Pam Bondi has decided that she is just not going to tell the public, when that is really what she should do if that's what happened. Or even tell us, the people involved, it was caused so much damage to this country that they're just going to get a pass. And why I'm not advocating for that. And I'm not saying that is what any of us should want, because if you break the law, especially what they were supposedly doing with children, you should then be in prison. But at least be honest with us so we know. As one of the bigger and larger parts of the Donald Trump administration is that he promised to be most transparent president ever. And he has had so many wins in just the short amount of time that he has been in office, to be that now that this is going to completely derail his administration. And of course, the left is running with it. We're going to get into that too. But it's really is just, it's unbelievable. And when Donald Trump was asked earlier today by a reporter by the Epstein list, and they really hope that they can just do this list with Axios. And it was never, ever going to be happen on that way. Yeah, as we got a comment here from Random Political Culture, these big people on both sides of that list, implicating one implies all. Bringing us raw example of political mutinism. So you're wrong. Okay, I don't see how I'm wrong. As we talk about the uniparty all the time. But I guarantee the vast majority of this is on the left. But I also do accept that what we call the uniparty and the corruption that happens in Washington is far more spread. But the thing that Donald Trump is on that list is absolute nonsense. I don't know if that's what you're talking about or if you're talking about something else. But whatever the case may be, I have been proven right 98% of the time. The other 2%, I make the mistake of asking my wife her opinion. It's a mistake, but I am not perfect. So this goes on, and now Donald Trump is getting mad at the reporter, and then Pam Bondi decides to respond to this. And she says the files were ready to review. That is what I meant. So this is going back to when Peter Doocy asked Pam Bondi, or asked Caroline Levitt just the other day, where is the files? Okay, you said they were on your desk, right? You said you had the list. They were talking about truckloads of information. So where is it? And now she's saying that she never meant the list, whatever the list is, but that she's now saying that this stuff will never be released. And the most ridiculous part of all this is she's saying that there's over tens of thousands of videos, and that they have very explicit content with minors, and that this stuff will never ever be released. Well, if it's never going to be released because it has minors, I get that. We're not asking for that. But okay, Epstein was convicted in a federal court. Maxwell is sitting in prison for trafficking. Okay, Epstein committed suicide, allegedly. Now, to who? Okay, that's the question that we're asking. If they were trafficking, who was it being released to? It's not that hard of a question to answer. And I don't know why they're holding back. It's this deep state, what we call these unelected bureaucrats. They just have a attraction to all the wrong people. And it's the ones that crave power. I mean, sure, if you work for this kind of boss, right, where someone who is a boss as opposed to a leader, it feels like they have a dagger to your back, right? You're always walking on eggshells, and they just crave that power over you. These are the same kind of people with a lot more power and a lot more money. I mean, you go into like the CIA, they lie for a living. I mean, now we have 18 of these intelligence agencies. It's the web, I think, is much deeper and much darker than people ever talk about. And now you're seeing it. Whatever is happening behind the scenes that we don't know about, we may or may not ever know about, but this is a huge problem for Trump. And he's chosen, I think, to take the wrong side on this. Because Pam Bondi today, she should have been told to either resign or do what Donald Trump said to do. Because Pam Bondi, as the DOJ AG, she works for Donald Trump, just like Merrick Garland worked for Joe Biden. Yeah, she is his employee, and he gave a mandate. And I don't even want to talk about this. Just release it so we can move on. I mean, this first part when Donald Trump says, all these other wins we have, and all that happened like in this tragedy that happened in Texas. Okay, we have a lot more that we have to deal with as a country, but this is on Trump's own face. And it's as great as he is, and as I'd vote for him again, he is completely handling this wrong, because we need these answers. Okay, we need to know why there's really dumb things they do. Like, they think that the internet doesn't exist. Releasing that very long video, supposedly showing that no one went in and out of Epstein's list, out of his place, and then a minute is missing. It goes from 11:59 to midnight. The entire minute gone. Why? Why take that out? And if you're going to take that out, why would you even put that on the internet? Please help me understand this. There's so much that Trump has done amazing, that all that he fought for, to secure our border, to deport all these illegal immigrants, using these tariffs to bring manufacturing back to our country, to using Doge to drain the swamp. There are so many wins. More wins in the first 6 months, I think, for Trump's administration than any that has been in my life. But if it's going to end here, this is going to be a huge black eye. And if Trump thinks that this is just going to go away, he's absolutely dreaming. I mean, this is the front story in 2 days in a row. And watching how everyone on X and everywhere else is reacting to this is not going anywhere. And now you even have like Tapper and all the other fake news, they're jumping in and they're trying to pretend that the reason Donald Trump is not doing this list is because that they are accusing him of being on it, just like Elon Musk did, and then he ended up deleting that post. Okay, if you have the evidence, then show it. Because I guarantee you, I have so little doubt that Joe Biden would have put Donald Trump in prison with Merrick Garland and with Chris Wray if they had the opportunity to do so. They would have not delayed for absolute 1 second. Do not doubt it for a minute. And we'll just have to see how he goes on with this moving forward. As Pam Bondi, what she should have done is she should have turned in front of a camera for 30 minutes and said, this is what's going on. This is why we're not doing it. This is why we can't talk about. Well, these questions, they just won't stop coming. Because this is the way it's being viewed as a betrayal of the people who voted for Trump. And it's too bad because all the good things that he's done and this black eye that's going on him now this is going to stand out on his administration if he doesn't take this head on. Whatever he's got to do it. If I would say either Pam Bondi, you either do what you're going to say or you're going to get resign or get fired. And then now we have the House Declassification Task Force with Chairman Anna Paulina Luna. She said, we will be asking the DOJ for the Epstein files not to pertain to the whatever's happening with the minors. Again, we don't want that stuff released. Okay, no one wants whatever they were doing with minors all over the internet or being displayed on some government website anywhere. Okay, that stuff is for courtrooms only, and we'd hope be sealed. And the poor people that ever have to see that crap. You ever served on a jury and some of the stuff that you have to see, depending on which case you're in, it's absolutely horrifying. And I'm imagining this is at the highest level that can be, making whatever the Diddy freak-offs were look like child's play. And so we need to know how deep this rabbit hole goes. This idea that Epstein was not trafficking anyone, or that somehow he wasn't blackmailing people, or there was no connection with intelligence agencies to this entire operation, they're trying to think that we're stupid. And that's, I think, what most people are pissed off about. It's because they know, when you know you're being lied to, and when we're told all the time that there's not a two-tier justice system, but then there is a two-tier justice system. And then we're told that, that this administration is going to change that. And that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you've been, it doesn't matter who you know. If you committed a crime, you are going to jail. Just like Pam Bondi stands in front of her microphone, and just like she goes on Fox almost every night. Magically, she's not now. I wonder why. Now, back to the House Task Force, is they're saying that they, don't release the child reports. Agree, but there are still the names. Who was actually at Epstein's Island, and what were they doing? And what was the payment? Is this as simple as an intelligence op that was then blackmailing very powerful people? That's the kind of questions that we need answered right now. I mean, how deep does this swamp go? How deep is the deep state? If that's a question that you want answered, and that's something that you want to know, you're never going to get closer than we are in the Trump administration right now. I mean, we'd even say this 10 years ago, that you would talk about the deep state, and most people would think that you're crazy, or that how much that the mainstream media was lying to you, the American people. See, I call this machine the three-headed beast from the DC abyss. And these are the ones from the three different heads. This starts with the deep state, and these are the people who are the unelected bureaucrats. These are the people you don't know who they are, you don't know what their names are, you'd walk right by them by the street and have no clue how much power they actually have over our federal government. And their power has been given by the second head, the politicians. I think for the biggest reason, because these people are absolute cowards. Because they have to go in front of the American people and they can get voted out. And so what do these cowards do? They're more than happy to give what they're elected to do into Congress, just give it over to the deep state. Most of our laws and most of our regulations are written by the deep state. They're not written by our politicians, as they write these really broad laws, and then they fund it to give the tax money to the deep state, just say, you handle it. And then if there's ever any blowback on our federal government or on these politicians, they go, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, it's not me. Don't come to me. I didn't write that. Go talk to the IRS, or go talk to the FBI, or go talk to DHS, or go talk to any of the other three-letter alphabet soups of the federal government. It's them that are making these rules. It's them that are making these regulations, not me, trying to escape their responsibility that's supposed to be theirs and theirs only in the Constitution. That was why it was such a huge deal for SCOTUS to overturn the Chevron indifference. And the last head, of course, be fake news or corporate media, which is more than happy to be on the bag of one side of the federal government. You either be MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, Political Axios. Every single one of them are in the bag for the Democrats. And they are more than happy to lie for their uniparty. And most of the time, when they lie to you, the American people, what they don't tell you is the whole truth. See, they marry a truth to a lie. They will tell you the parts they want you to hear, but then they will ignore, even in the same story, the facts that if you knew the whole story, you would never come to the conclusion that they want you to come to. Not for a single moment. And the fake news networks, they know this, and they still think to this day that they can get away with it, like they have for decades. I mean, we had an entire generation that came home from work and watched either evening news or read the newspaper and thought that they were being informed. Instead, they were being lied to by propaganda. And it wasn't really at a large scale until Elon Musk purchased X. And once he turned Twitter to X and actually opened up free speech, and we were able to prove how much these people are lying, the collapse of fake news was incredibly fast. I mean, for most of the normal people, the ones that are not used to this, right, who would just casually watch and go about their lives, for them, I think it was the Joe Biden and Donald Trump debate. When all of a sudden they realized, holy crap, this guy is gone, right? Biden is bonkers. He is off in the deep end. There was that moment in the debate where Biden went, the border, we border bill, and even fake news like Trump, and Trump ended it right there. I don't know what he said. I don't think he knows what he said, but this is what I was going to do. That was the moment, I think, for the vast majority of Americans when they realized just how much fake news is lying. And rather than fake news stepping back and realizing how much mistakes they were making, they were instead doubling down. And they continue to lie all through their suckers and losers, and all through the impeachments, and all through the 9-bullet hoaxes, and all through the boxes, and all through the Gene Carrolls, and they lied and lied and lied and lied and lied. And they still lie to this day. And it got so bad that even people like Jake Tapper, he writes a fake book trying to blame the Biden White House, which even that on itself is so absurd, because it's either one of two things. Either one, they were lying for the Biden administration the entire time, or two, they were too incompetent journalists to see what everyone else saw right in front of them. Either way, this is a bad outcome for the fake news networks. Just like how they're trying to cover for these deportations of the illegal immigrants, they're trying to help the Democrats stop as many from coming, and then they're covering another peaceful but mostly fiery but mostly peaceful protests as ICE officers and DHS and other border patrol are under danger from these radical extremists on the Democrats' left. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more, but I'm over on a break. We'll be right back. This is the CASHLOREN Show. One of the many things that Donald Trump promised was that he was going to deport all these illegal immigrants, as he was going to do the biggest mass deportation in U.S. history. Everyone knew it. He ran on it. And the economy was always number one. Immigration ended up being number two. And the left, to their shock, as they hoped it had been like 2022, when it was all about the woman's right to choose, meaning being able to abort their babies, that they would be drunk on the blood of the innocent. But even across virtually every single demographic, I think, except for black women, Donald Trump gained ground. And he gained ground because of deportations. As the Biden administration, they left our border open for 4 years and let tens of millions of people come into our country without a single explanation, without a single, what they're trying to call now, due process. Right? We have no idea who they let in our country. We have no idea what they were doing. We have no idea who they are, what their intentions are. But I know I see a lot of like Palestine flags now, and I see a lot of Mexican flags now, but I don't see many American flags from this side, from the Democrat side. As they, and I believe this was the intention, was to either bring in new electoral votes for the Democrat Party, either now or in the future. And I'm not even talking about fraud. I'm just talking about get them here, and then once they're here, naturalize them and make them citizens. As that's what the Democrats keep trying to push. Just like they did again yesterday, trying to push for mass amnesty inside the deep state in the Democrat Party. Or when they actually get honest for a moment, and they'll talk about how they need a pathway to citizenship. The other side of that is in our census. It is our census that they then count heads to determine where house seats are. But many don't know about our census is it's just a head count. So they don't have any proof of whether you're a citizen or you're not. This has to stop. That is literally the definition of foreign interference in our elections. I mean, do not doubt that for a single second. That is the entire point of this. Well, Donald Trump, to his word, has doubled down, and he got his big, beautiful bill through Congress. And now they're going to finish the border wall. And then ICE has, in the deportation effort, has north of $150 billion to deport every single last illegal immigrant. Good. Exactly what we voted for. And they're not backing down. Just like Judge Judd Holman said, we're going to go into the Democrat cities. We're going to go into the Democrat states. We're going to go into these sanctuary cities, and we're going to find these illegal immigrants, and we're going to deport them out of our country. Because that is the due process for entering our country illegally. This is what we voted for. What 77 million people voted for Donald Trump to do. And the Democrats continue to be on the wrong side of every single 80-20 issue as they try to stand in the way of this. And this is happening in, right now, the big battleground is California, specifically Los Angeles. As Mayor Karen Bass, she tried to obstruct ICE, and she quickly screwed around, and she quickly found out. As the federal authorities, if they've launched what is, to this date, I think is the largest deportation effort in the MacArthur Park National, Los Angeles. And this is a hotbed well known for MS-13 gang members, which is probably one of the most violent and dangerous gangs in the world. And also a very high population of illegal aliens. This is all what we voted for. And now you have a Gavin Newsom who won't cry a single tear for American citizens, but when it comes to their illegal invasion of our country, all of a sudden he's all kinds of sad.
Day like today, I want folks to know we have your back, and we'll continue to come back and do what we can to protect our diverse communities, to protect the spirit that defines the best of this city and our state, and to push back against this cruelty, that is being perpetuated by the President of the United States.
Yeah, it's cruel to enforce our laws. I mean, according to the Democrats, it's cruel to lock up criminals, right? It's cruel to gang members off the streets. It's cruel to arrest people and prosecute them for crimes. According to the Democrats, it seems that the only people they ever love are the illegal aliens and criminals. I don't remember Gavin Newsom crying any fake tears for Laken Riley or any of the other American victims of this illegal invasion of our country. I mean, where was this crocodile tears for them? Gavin Newsom, he's one of those people where I think he could pass a lie detector test, look you bald in the face, and tell you that the sky is green or red or any other color, and he would be able to look you right in the eye and ace it. He is that good of a pathological liar. And all their same fake virtue signaling on the left side of theirs, where they have no mercy or none for our own citizens, but yet they pretend to for these illegal aliens. And I ask you, why? Why are they so insistent on protecting criminals that shouldn't be in this country in the first place? See, our side, like most sides, probably like you, and why Trump won, is that we believe in legal immigration. Okay, we want the best and the brightest coming here to this country. We don't want people coming to this country and waving foreign flags and living off taxpayer dollars. And we don't want them committing crimes in this country. We don't want them coming to our schools and spreading Marxism and free Palestine crap. Revoke their visas, revoke their green cards, and send them home. That's what we voted for. If you want to come to our country the greatest country this world has ever known, then you come here and you assimilate to our way of life. You don't demand that we assimilate to your way of life. I don't care what your third world hellhole was. You left that hellhole to come here. So don't bring that hellhole with you. And if they try to do it, send them away. But then you have Karen Bass, as she is continuing to double down on all this. She tried to obstruct ICE the other day and kick them out, and that, of course, failed. But now she is now doing a lawsuit, which is absolutely just hilarious. So she's suing the Trump administration, and she wants to halt ICE raids altogether. You want to guess what her excuse is? Because it's the Democrats' favorite go-to victim card. Ready for it? Racism. It's racist to deport illegal aliens. And this has nothing to do with anyone's color of skin. Everybody knows that, including Karen Bass. This does not have a single thing to do. Now, they happen to come here and they happen to be any particular color of skin. That is one thing, but it doesn't matter. What matters is they came to this country illegally, and now they're going to be arrested, and now they're going to be deported. But of course, the Democrats, they can't say that because they know that no one will ever go along with anything they say if they're actually honest to you, the American voters. So when we talk about this fake virtue signaling and these crocodile tears, this is what we're talking about, because they cannot be honest with you, so therefore they have to lie. It's racist. BS. Laws are not racist. Laws are laws. Laws say you come to our country legally. And laws say, I don't care what color your skin is, if you come to our country illegally, we will arrest and deport you. The Democrats, they don't just get to make up laws as they go along, like they got away with for the last 4 years, where they just decided, hey, you know what? It's not illegal to come to our country. So we're just not going to enforce those laws that we don't like because racist. So they left their border open. Tens of millions of people came in, and now they're fighting like hell for all the people that shouldn't have been here in the first place and ignoring the American citizens who suffer because of their illegal invasion. You do not hate them enough. And when last I saw the Democrats, they were all the way down to 17% approval when they should have around 30%. It's just a built-in base. So they've lost at least half of their base. And then when that doesn't work, the next thing they go to, because when they progress liberalism, they progress it through activism. Is they try to get people mad and angry, because when you're mad and angry, you don't think straight. You just got to go get him, right? Go get the villain, go get the bad guy. And not being realized that they're being lied to. The Democrats then, now what are they doing? After they spent all of 2021 pretending that they were all for law enforcement, now they're trying to demonize law enforcement. And don't ever doubt for a second, the Democrats know exactly what they're doing when they talk about calling ICE agents or DHS when they're trying to unmask them. As these violent attacks on these police officers has raised by over 700%. They have to protect their identities now from these radical left domestic terrorists. The Democrats know they want to dox these ICE agents because they want to use their liberalism through their activism to try to penalize you for enforcing our laws. They tried it with Donald Trump. And when Schumer was saying back in Trump's first term, for a smart businessman, he's really dumb because the intelligence agencies, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get you. But Donald Trump fought and he exposed it and he won, and now he's back in the White House. And now their activism, just like they tried to do with Donald Trump, they're now trying to do to these police officers by lying and calling them Nazis or fascists or calling through the Gestapo and some of the other insane stuff that they're saying. Let's see if I can find this MSNBC headline real quick. There it is. Okay, so for ones like this, when we built the Florida, called Alligator Alcatraz to detain illegal aliens with the jets that can land right there and deport these people right out of our country. But MSNBC, to demonize these law enforcement agencies, don't call it Alligator Alcatraz. Call it a concentration camp. A concentration camp. You will never, ever hate fake news enough that they have the nerve and the audacity, the insanity, the pure evil to call all law enforcement, trying to compare them to the Nazis who were sending the Jews off to their grave. You will never, ever hate these people enough. Never. It is just not possible. They are vile, evil, dark creatures. And because of all this kind of rhetoric, they're putting people's lives at risk, just like they put Donald Trump's life at risk when all the others, they knew what they were doing across fake news and Democrats when they were calling Donald Trump a Nazi and a fascist. Even though he's none of those things, they were trying to radicalize other people. Because if you could stop Hitler, what crime would be off the table? See, the Democrats understand that connection. So they don't care if it's true, and they're too big of cowards to do anything themselves. And so then what they do instead is they dog whistle for violence, and then they pretend they're innocent, or they try to hide behind like somehow they have their First Amendment rights. Absolute nonsense. Now it continues on. The attack began. So this is in Alvarado, Texas. After they've been trying to dox ICE agents this entire time, is now as more and more of this comes out. Initially there was an attack, and then two officers were injured. But now this is so much worse. And now you see why fake news, why they're writing headlines like this, and they're not reporting the facts of what happened. And this is also why independent creators are growing at such a rapid rate. As these Antifa militants, they were organized and they were trained. They must be labeled as domestic terrorists, especially when you realize what they did. As this was a group of 10 of them. And they're all wearing black militant style clothing. Sure, if you've been on the internet, you've seen these photos of them. And then what they were doing is they were shooting fireworks at the detention center. And then they went up, they started trying to graffiti the detention center. And that's when 911 was called. And then police officers went to investigate. Well, the police officers didn't know they were walking into a planned ambush, as one of them was sitting in bushes and opened fire. And then a second one apparently also opened fire from across the street. And then at least the one was shot and killed. This was intentional. They planned this before they got there. And the Democrats, they hold a large responsibility for this. When they go out and they try to villainize law enforcement, they know these radicals are out there. They know exactly what they're doing. And if that ever happens to them, they immediately pretend they're a victim, or that it's just so mean and evil. You can't say that. Remember how they defend like Joe Biden and all the others from this, right? How you could cause political violence, right? You could threaten someone, you could cause a threat to someone's life. But it's so fake and non-virtuous because they are doing the exact same thing to us. And you had Karen Bass, as she responds to the eye, she goes, "Last I checked, I was elected mayor of the city, that not including a federal takeover. So you either believe in democracy or you don't." Well, no, that's not how our country works, Bass. You see, we have laws, and you don't get to pick and choose which laws you do and don't obey. And the federal government has the right to arrest and deport illegal immigrants. And their response was absolutely perfect. The federal government is not leaving LA. I do not work for Karen Bass. We are going here until the mission is accomplished. 100% facts. What we voted for. Now, we brought up with the MSNBC, and we'll bring this up real quick, as they're trying to demonize law enforcement to stop you, to manipulate you emotionally to no longer enforce our laws. By calling Alligator Alcatraz, calling it a concentration camp. These people are truly the darkest, evil human beings there can be. And now there's a phone call that's going out with a criminal alien inside Alcatraz. He claims that there are mosquitoes the size of elephants. I'm sure he's got a video of that. Only fed once a day. The facility lights are on 24/7. No outside time allowed. And the cells are freezing. Mind you, this is in Florida in the summer. Maybe they should turn down the AC for these criminal aliens. You know what I say? If you don't like the conditions, self-deport. Get on the app, click the button, and get out of our country. Because if you don't, we're going to arrest you We're going to find you. We're going to prosecute you. And it's going to be much, much worse. And with that, we're up against a break. We'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the Cash Loren Show. We've been spending a lot of the time in the last hour, and we were talking about illegal immigration into this country. And one of the pushes to try to stop it is through the lawfare. They're trying to slow it down. And then also trying to do a push to make the people who came here illegally legal. Is that was always the goal from the beginning. Just get here. And then once you're here, we will find a way. Now, there was a huge push in the Trump administration behind the scenes. And I think it was Charlie Kirk, if I remember right, that really broke this in the open. And I think really put a dead stop on it. Is sunlight is the best disinfectant. And Donald Trump came out earlier, and I'm going to go back here for a moment before I get into what happened today to give to you a little context. Because as Donald Trump, he ran his administration, and he promised for all of you that he was going to deport the illegal aliens. And then Tom Homan and the others correctly said, we're going to start on the most violent of criminals and focus on them first. But if you're here illegally, we will deport you. They didn't start out looking for somebody that's just minding their own business. But if ICE happens to come and you're illegal, you're getting deported. And there's funds issues in this. This is something that got blown way out of proportion. Is going back to Donald Trump when he was talking about ignoring those who were working like in fields and farms, basically in the food sector. And he was not talking about amnesty then or now. But he was talking about focusing on the criminals that were committing crimes here first. And unfortunately to that end, now they got pushed and they're trying to push him into going in and doing an illegal amnesty bill like Ronald Reagan was at the end of his terms. And Donald Trump, he put an end to that today. And a lot of that, thank goodness, because we pushed so hard that it had to be brought out into the open. And this forced Donald Trump and others to say, we are not talking amnesty. And I don't think he ever was. But at least now it's being put dead in its tracks. Because there is many in the deep state who think that Donald Trump shouldn't have any power or any authority. And they think that they are born to rule over you. And they imported all these people here. So all these, even though the Biden administration is gone, a lot of the same operatives that actually run the government behind the scenes are still there. And they're trying to maintain as much power as they can and ambush Trump's administration as much. So they're trying to put as much pressure, as much as they could on Donald Trump to grant amnesty. And they're going to do what they always try to do when they try to push for things that you never go for on your own. As Donald Trump, remember, had 77 million votes. He won the popular vote. He won all 7 swing states because of his position is incredibly popular. Now they're trying to, very small percentage in a very powerful position is trying to force his administration to do what they would not do. And this is done mostly through trying to blackmail like you, the American voters. And then give Donald Trump bad advice and push him into places that he never would have gone to on his own. And they'll try to manipulate you with all these different ways. I'm sure you've heard many of these. They'll try to manipulate you saying, well, the crops will rot in the fields. Now, we don't have cheap illegal immigrants. Well, what about the Democrats and their cotton? I mean, if they don't have their slaves, then who's going to pick the cotton? See, this is the same thing the Democrats are trying to push now. It's just a little twist in the words. Now, it's fruits. And what they do, and they don't lie about all of this, of course, again, is they don't tell you the whole truth. They tell you only part of the truth, is that's actually a very small percentage of the legal aliens. Most are working normal jobs, constructions or meat factories, or anywhere else that American citizens would work. But of course, they won't tell you that because if they do, then they can't emotionally blackmail you. The next lie they love is Americans won't do these jobs, which is absolutely nonsense. It's already being shown in our economy. As we've taken away these illegal aliens, and now Americans are already doing these jobs. Businesses will go under. Again, economy is booming. Stock market's crazy. And it's just going to continue to get better and better. As the tariffs come in and more illegals get deported, as they have to lie and move quick. This is why they try to say all this stuff to you, to try to get you mad and try to get you angry and frustrated. Because as soon as they get you to that point, then they can manipulate you and get you to do anything they want. And they have to move fast. They have to blackmail you, because if enough time goes by, you'll see that they were lying the entire time. Just like they lied with the border, just like they lied with illegal immigration, just like they lied with tariffs, just like they lied with the stock market and eggs and every other hoax. If you just stand your ground and fight, they get proved to be wrong and wrong again. Whether it be the Congressional Budget Office, who's been wrong on everything, lying about what was going to happen to our economy, to when there's a temporary dip in our stock market. And like I said then, I said back then that this is not going to be without pain. Okay, you don't take 30 years of abuse and flip a light switch. And I said then, I don't know how painful this is going to be. I don't know how bad this is going to be for the American people. But I do know that it is short term. And if we stand our ground and we fight, we will return the golden age to America. We will make America great again. And 6 months in, it's already happening beyond most people's expectations. And so their lives continue to get more and more desperate. And then they want to, well, if we can't get you, keep all of them there, then they try to create some kind of arbitrary line. What about the ones that have been here for more than 4 years? Or what about the ones that have had children? Or what about the ones that have been here for 20 years? They try to either put the goalpost somewhere as far forward as they can, and then once they get that goalpost set, they're going to keep trying to push it up and up and up and up. They will never be satisfied. And that's why we have to stand our ground and give them nothing. As these illegal aliens that come here, they will either be citizens soon or later if they're here. Either them or their children. In many of our elections, they're won by thousands of votes, sometimes hundreds of votes. Even in a presidential election, it's not uncommon for a presidential election to be won by 70,000 votes. Now, I know on the top line when you see it's millions, but when you break it down, it's usually just down to a couple counties, as most of those votes were in a county or a state that was going to go to either president anyways. Hence, we're down to 7 swing states. And now, what's that going to do to our electoral votes when there's tens of millions of illegal aliens here? That's not the real argument. Is votes. And they're trying to manipulate you with this fake crocodile fears and these fake caring about people's rights. Not American citizens' rights. No, the Democrats don't care all about them. You just pay your taxes, you shut up. But for all the illegal aliens that they imported here, they facilitated illegally into this country without any due process, I remind you. Right? Just have a future court date someday, probably never. See how that works? But now on the backside, all of a sudden these judges, they want to have an immediate court case for every single illegal alien before they can get deported, and they've lost that one too. Good job. We fight, we win. If you don't allow yourself to be manipulated by their fake rage and their fake virtue signaling and their crocodile tears, get ready for it. It's just getting started. Get ready for the Rachel Maddows of the world to those kids in cages. It's just, it's so horrible. How can they do that? This kid, he had cancer and Donald Trump just took him off the streets and deported him to a foreign country. Of course, they blatantly lied about that too. And they lied about the kids in cages, but they're not going to stop lying because they think that they can manipulate you. See, this is the side of the Democrats that is their biggest strength and their biggest weakness. It is on one side, because they're all sheep together and they all think the same, that they only talk to each other. And so it gives them a very diluted outlook on where America is at. When they go in and they talk about how horrible this is, they think that because they only talk to each other, they look at one illiberal elite and they think, this is awful. And then they look at the other illiberal elite and they think, yeah, and I hate Donald Trump. And they look at their other buddy and I hate Donald Trump too. And then most people, I don't hate Donald Trump. Well, then you're a racist and you're a bigot and you're a homophobe and you're a transphobe and you're a right nationalist and you're an extreme MAGA Republican. But it's not you that is extreme, it's them. They are on the wrong side of every single 80-20 issue without a miss. Let me see. I had a see if I can find it here. I had a chart here from fake news. Did I lose it? Let's see. And I don't have it in my notes. All right. It was somewhere. Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay. 16. Give me just a second. Here it is. All right. So this is, nope, that's not 16. Here, there it is. All right. This is going into polling, as I'm saying, as you voted for this and you wanted this. And as even the fake news polls are shocked to show, New York Times, 55% want all illegal aliens deported. CBS, 57%. Marquee, 64%. ABC News, 56%. And every time that I talk about fake news networks and their fake polls, I always say every single time to take them with a grain of salt, even if they're the ones that we like. That come like these ones that show you just how out of touch the liberal elites are. Because they're always made to manipulate people. I can guarantee you they asked a very small sampling and they tried to word these in the worst possible way. Would you even deport a poor child with cancer? Yes or no? Right? Trying to blackmail people. And then they come out with these polls and they only ask their staff. I mean, you in the middle, right? Most of you listen to this, you're somewhere middle, probably middle right, but middle left maybe. How many of you have ever been polled by one of these? How many of you have ever been asked a single question? Probably none of you. These fake polls, they don't exist to educate the voters. They exist to manipulate the voters. And when this happens, when this is exposed, like these polls, and they're so shocked because the liberal elites, they told you that Trump was bad. And they told you that these illegals, they were just dreamers, that they just wanted a better life like you. And if you don't accept that, well, then you're a racist. And they told you what to think, and you're not believing them anymore. And in their minds, because they're elites, they can't grasp that concept. And they can't think that, maybe I'm on the wrong side of this issue. For them, that's just not possible. They will never be able to understand that one bit. And really quick, we got about 2 minutes left. Is also the Supreme Court. They gave the Trump administration a huge win today, where they gave another on an 8-1. And so we'll go through this, figure out which judge do you think on the Supreme Court was the only one that ruled against this. I mean, the 9-0s are very rare. But to have an 8-1, which one of the three liberal justices do you think it is? And we'll cover this real quick, and then we'll go back to that. And so this is saying that the Donald Trump administration can move forward with getting everything in order to fire all these federal employees that Donald Trump already has the right to do. But these judges, these low-level district judges that think they're kings, that think that they can write law from the bench, try to run an injunction, and the Supreme Court overruled it today. And then if you guess Ketanji Brown Jackson as the one dissent, you were right. And she's made a big fool of herself, very close. Within a couple of weeks ago, there's Amy Coney Barrett, mocked her for not being able to read legalese. Now she's getting mocked again, but this time it's by her own side. This time it is, where did it go? It's Sotomayor, as she mocks Ketanji Brown Jackson. It's saying that the plan, reorganization, and reduction of force consistent with applicable laws, meaning Trump has the right to do so. Then she also goes on that this court that they're ruling on right now, this has nothing to do with that. See, what Ketanji Brown Jackson tried to do is she tried to jump in the future, and she tried to say that Trump doesn't have the right to fire people. But that's not what they were ruling on today. They were ruling on if he has the chance to pursue it within his own administration. And she just, this is the crown reason to be against DEI. Because the only reason for DEI to exist, the institutional racism, is to put people in power who could never get there through merit. And of course, the most radical, insane leftists every single time. And with that, we're over on this hour. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the CASHLOREN Show. Well, independent thinkers, we have come to the top of another hour. The rest of the stories have to go back in the stack. If you enjoyed this content, take a moment, hit the subscribe, turn on notifications. Most importantly, share a conservative message with your friends and family. We will be back Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on the CASHLOREN Show. We will go and we will expose and fight the fake news networks who have been getting away with lying to you for decades. Our content will always be free, but if you'd like to support more, you can do so monetarily over at locals at the CASHLOREN Show. And there's great rewards and benefits for doing so. For only about a cup of coffee a month, you will receive exclusive articles and you'll have your name at the end of the video, just like these other fine patriots have. If that sounds interesting to you, go over to locals right now for just a cup of coffee a month and help independent creators stay free, keep the lights on, and continue to expose the fake news networks. We'll see you again on the next episode. This is the CASHLOREN Show.